Well, hello there. Welcome to the latest installment of the Bonzoleum story series. This is story number 3, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it is, because I know it is. If you get a chance, go back and see my Bonzoleum rock throwing at the disco car story from 1979. And then, or 80, maybe. And then there's the punch in the face, the chivalry video where I took a punch in the face really hard and bled all over the joint for chivalry's sake. Back in 1987 or 8, maybe? Anyway, so here we are. Let's fast forward to 1999, okay? Whoop! Wow, these are all about a decade apart. Okay, 1999. December 1999. Apparently all these stories, don't they all somewhat have to do with the police? There's police involved in every one. Well, the first time there wasn't because we didn't get caught. But anyway, so this time, December 1999. What happened was back in the day I used to work for some brokers in the cattle options at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. An incredibly stressful job, I can assure you. And although I was compensated handsomely by my wonderful employees, really, I got to tell you, God love these guys. They were so good to me. I probably would have been making $400,000 a year doing it back in the glory days if there was a lot more business. See, remember my boss told me that. That's the furnace, okay? It's not my babushka vacuuming the house. I've done that before. Anyway, so there I am, 1999, right? So my brother and I shared a place back in the day out in the suburbs. And I used to sometimes, well, often take the L, the Chicago L. Take it to work, right? Get on the train maybe about 7 or whatever. Take the L in, kind of go down to a subway. I'd get off at Canal Street. Okay, there's a Canal Street in Chicago. Get off the subway, walk up the stairs, pretty much right at the Eisenhower there. Walk a few blocks to Union Station, the train station. Union Station, big, beautiful old station. Sort of half the old one and half sort of a new one. I think they rebuilt in the 60s. Anyway, used to love walking through there. A, because I love trains, obviously. And B, you would sort of get like 2 blocks of out of the elementum. Okay, so you'd walk in there like what would be the southwest corner, right? You sort of walk through, and then you're in the glorious waiting room or beautiful in there, where they did the Untouchables. Remember that scene where the cart goes ding, 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 and there's tons of shooting, and the guy gets the bullet in the face, and all kinds of pandemonium? Well, they shot that right in there, okay? In fact, I used to walk right by that staircase every day. So anyway, I'm in there, right? 1999, marching through Union Station. It's rush hour, everybody, Chicago. It's Chicago, so everybody's sort of walking, like, get the hell out of my way, So you'd sort of walk through and then walk around, and a couple escalators, whoop, take you upstairs. Then a couple escalators take you outside, okay? So it'd pop you out facing the river, beautiful Chicago River. You see the Civic Opera House down there, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, various other buildingry. Come out, and everybody, it's cold, it's December, I think maybe like right before Christmas, like the 18th or the 19th. 1999. Did I say that enough? So, so what happens is come walking out, and what happens is Adams Street is right there. Get to Adams Street, and there's a stoplight. Even though the bridge is right there, so the cars all run westbound. It's a one-way street. So everyone's sort of waiting for the light, and cars are sort of cruising by, and so suddenly, you hear, like that, which is the sound, which I'm sure we've all heard, pardon me, of somebody starting or trying to start a car that's already been started. You know what I'm saying? So everyone, at least I'm like, Jesus, what the hell is that? And I see a Chicago policeman, it's like leather Chicago coat, like uniformed, come running, like for his life, out of the... out of Union Station or somewhere out of sight, comes booking down the stairs. Now there's a Chicago squad car that you see in the movies all the time, like in Hill Street Blues, the white car that has the blue stripe. I think in Hill Street Blues it said Metro Police. Of course, this one says Chicago Police, right? Because we're in Chicago. And so he goes booking down to his car. He goes running down there, and he opens the door, and there's sort of a struggle, and he starts fighting with this guy behind the wheel. Apparently this guy is trying to steal the police car. I can laugh now, but it wasn't frickin' funny then. So, what happens is, so it's sort of like rock'em sock'em robot-y kind of stuff, and the cop sort of muscles his way into the car, and the police doors kind of starts to close behind him. So this goes on for maybe like a second. I remember being like, oh my God, and everyone's just sort of standing there. And suddenly, because the police car started, right, it's running. Suddenly the rear wheels, I think the rear wheel drive. Anyway, the wheels, whatever they were, either one started to go like that. But like, see the car, you know, like when people like patch out, the car sort of sits there, kind of like that, but for a second. And then the car goes, and these cars, I think they got like V8. I mean, it was a powerful car. This thing drives about 30 feet maybe into a Chicago light pole. Okay, you know, there's light poles in the city, as we have everywhere, light poles. This thing's maybe 40 feet high, painted green, okay? Like everybody, at least in Chicago, you know the light poles are painted green. There's probably, you know, there's like flyers and postal bills kind of thing on it. This cop car smashes in to this light pole at the base. Now, I swear to God, well, the whole story is true. Scout's honor, honest to God, as all my stories are. Here's the light pole, right? This cop car smashes into the bottom, and apparently the compression of the air in this hollow cylinder, there was a plug at the top. You know, it has one of these guys at, you know, the top, right? The compression of the air in there forces a plug, honest to God, at the end. Let's use this, shall we? At the end, it's not to scale, right? Let's say the plug, but goes like, bloop, like I swear to God, just like that, bloop, and falls down. This thing must have weighed probably a good 10 pounds in the street. Gong gong. And the what jettisoned it out was this compressed air, which is it looked like black smoke, right? Probably from years of, you know, rust, dirt, locomotive soot, whatever. I swear to God, this thing shoots out. Not only that, then what then happens is this effing pole goes and well, it wasn't fun. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I can laugh now. And lands in Adams Street. Now, and literally, I'm telling you, this thing hit the ground and went like dong 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 dong. I mean, the thing must weigh, I don't know, a couple tons maybe. I mean, it was iron. It was iron. Know what I'm saying? So, but thank God, apparently then the stoplight right by the train station there, you know, occasionally would turn red for the cars or the cabs and everybody to stop, so we pedestrians could cross the street, right, for a minute or two or whatever. So, because I remember when this thing hit the ground, thank God there were no cars going by. So no cars got damaged and to people, there were people everywhere. I mean, it was rush hour in Chicago, right? And thank God nobody happened to be right under this pole when this thing hit the ground, you know? I mean, it was crazy. So at this point, I spring into action, you know? I mean, I was pissed. I thought to myself, you know, like, so I go booking around the passenger side of the cop car, which is now stopped. The engine's going, but apparently the cop, I think, put it back into park, right? So I go around the passenger side, and I grab the door of the passenger door, and I open this thing up, and there's a guy in there, the bad guy, trying to get out, right? I remember he looks up at me, and he's trying to get past me, and I grabbed him, and I do remember. He had a belt on, I think, and I remember he was facing, and I grabbed, like, the back, I grabbed this, right? I know you always see my underwear in the videos. Hang on. Forget about my underwear. But see this? Like, I grab there, I'm like, I pull him out. Of course, he flips over because he's kind of like fighting. No, I'm not really a fighter at all, but when we were kids, we'd fight, you know, little, like, brawls, you know. And I had a bunch of cousins, you know, they were tough. My brother, Michael, Johnny, used to, you know, he was an older brother, he'd get a couple shots in now and then, so I wasn't a stranger to, you know, pandemonium, we'll say. So, what happens is, my brother's also a cop, God love him, so I flip him over and I get down on top of him, and my knees are like on his shoulders, and I'm like, bam! I mean, it kind of, you know what the neat thing is, it kind of just happens, you know what I mean? It was like adrenaline burn. But anyway, then what happened, I remember looking back at the cop, though, and being like, are you okay? And I remember he was sitting there at the wheel, and I remember he kind of, like I think he might have broken his nose, maybe. I remember he kind of went like this, you know? And so and suddenly I realized there's 3 guys standing there around me. And the first thing I think to myself is like, don't bother to help, dude. You know what I'm saying? But then this actually happens, I swear to God. One of the guys, I look up and is holding out a set of handcuffs. I swear to God. I'm like, like in, like in Slapshot, the guy's hitting the guy and he's like, I was like, I remember being like, and I looked up at him and apparently there are 3, or at least one of them's like a plainclothes cop, right? But apparently these guys must have been, they ran over, right? But apparently they thought I had it under control. But I also remember now, too, it did dawn on me after, like, that day, that I was wearing a Cook County Sheriff's jacket that my brother had got, like like a sort of a Steve McQueen kind of coat. So they must have just assumed I was a policeman. So I look up and go, I'm not a cop. And I stand up. One of the cops goes down there, flips him over, puts his knee on him, and starts cuffing him. And we all sort of stand there from that, like, so I ran off to work. Went running up to, Jackson or whatever the hell it is. Went into work. I remember I told one of the guys I work with, my boss, I'm like, I tell him the story, and of course he's looking at me like, right, buddy. So the next day, apparently. Anyway, so that's the story. That actually happened. So that's another Bonzoleum story. I got a lot. Everybody I'm sure has stories. But you know what the thing is? This is my channel. So I tell my stories. Thank you for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. I have 12,000 subscribers, which is climbing rapidly. A lot of views, and I really, really do appreciate, all my subscribers and the comments, both good and bad. I mean, at least people, even if you don't like it, at least you're engaged, right? Apparently. So, thanks for watching my videos. I still got to make the frickin' Rover. I'll make it today, I promise. I just want to make sure, especially because it's such an iconic Zeppelin tube, that I really nail the intro. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't really pay a lot. I mean, I've sort of an attention deficit. I really want to get that done. I know it, but because I want to, I'll just do it. Anyway, but thanks for watching my videos. If you get a chance, watch my Bonzoleum promo video I put out, I think on Monday or Tuesday, which I thought was pretty good. I'm getting pretty handy with the YouTube editor. And I also have that click track, the other click track video I want to make, where you can actually hear the click track. So thank you for watching my videos. Much appreciated. Happy New Year, and stand up for your civil servants and indeed anybody who needs help from bad guys, because God knows there's a bunch of them out there. So, thank you for watching my videos.